Time is 8 minutes and 20 seconds past 1. This is the Pete Murray Late Show. My guest is Billy Fury, and I've never seen a better tan. Bill, that's an amazing tan you've got there.
Thanks, Pete. I must say, it's coming along nicely.
Coming
the summer's
along.
almost over.
You'll never fade, I go as far as to say, because that's there forever, I would think. I mean, most people think you've spent about several months in Spain, I would think.
Yeah, I go brown very quickly, Pete, and I've been working on the farm in Wales, and the weather's been beautiful there.
In fact, you've had better weather in Wales than I think we've had down here in London.
Yeah, we had some really gorgeous hot weather, and so I've been working out on the tractor, and it's pretty isolated. Just been walking about in a swimming costume.
Terrific. How long have you had the farm now?
I think it's about 10 years, Pete.
Is it really? And you actually do work on it, do you?
Yeah, I work on it with 300 sheep, 5 horses, geese, some pigs, and I'm also still very interested in wildlife, and I still study wildlife, and I look after anything that's injured that the RSPCA may give me. I take care of it and bring it on and release.
Have you always been interested in wildlife like that?
Yeah, since I was in school.
Well, wasn't too much wildlife in Liverpool, was there? Or, I mean,
Hardly any
different
at all.
kind of wildlife.
Yeah, sure was wild in Liverpool, sure. Thing was, I missed a lot of schooling when I was a kid, and I was usually off on the bus and out into the countryside. I loved the countryside, and I was studying. First, I used to be what they call an egg collector, and I collected birds' eggs as a kid. And then I thought to myself, gosh, Billy, every time you take an egg, you're taking a life. So I decided to study the birds, study their habits, their feeding habits, and all the rest of it, and started doing some photography later on in my life.
And really, had you always wanted to have a farm, and had this always been a burning ambition for you?
I think the countryside, I've always had a great passion for the countryside. I always enjoyed the greenery and the scenery. And when I first started singing, I had a place down in Surrey or Sussex somewhere. It was a small place, but it was in the country. And I started getting interested in looking after wildlife and stuff as the RSPCA would give me. I'd be looking after owls and badgers, cubs, foxes, all that kind of thing.
Yeah. Foxes you can't actually have them as a pet, I suppose, but they're quite affectionate creatures, aren't they?
Foxes are really very, very affectionate. If you bring them up like you would a dog, you'll turn out that actually a fox is just like a dog. The same goes for badgers as well. I once had a badger cub, which came along beautifully, and I had a lot of problems with releasing him back into the forest.
Didn't want to go?
He just didn't want to go. He was really hung up on Milky Way bars. And he was always around the door every night.
And he came to see you every night. So when you moved, I mean, he must have wondered what on earth had happened, did he?
Well, I'm afraid that he stopped visiting before I actually moved.
Oh, maybe he fell in love.
Some years ago, I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too. Because there are a lot of badger traps and things like that around nowadays, aren't there?
Well, actual badger traps are illegal.
Mm.
Well, unfortunately, they are sometimes used. And unfortunately, badgers are on the list as a pest, and they are gassed in their homes, in burrows where they live.
That's such a shame, for such a lovely animal.
It sure is a shame. In fact, I think it's a shame for most animals and wildlife. They
Yeah.
always get the rotten end of the stick.
They do, you're right. I should be crying before you. I tell you that. I mean, people say, oh, well, you should think more about human beings than you do about animals. But I mean, I think if you feel about animals, you can feel about human beings as well, can't you?
I surely hope so.
Yeah. All this, really, it doesn't fit the image of the wild Billy Fury, does it, at all?
Well, that's the other side of me, I guess. I mean, if I turn around to you and say, okay, Pete, what do you do for your hobbies, etc., I'll probably get another side of you.
Mine aren't as interesting as yours. I mean, I admire you very much. I mean, to take on it's a fairly big farm. I mean, you've got 300 sheep, haven't you?
Yeah, and 300 sheep there, and it's nice to have animals around. The trouble is, the reason there's so many sheep is because after lambing, you're supposed to take all the ram lambs to market when they're about. 6 to 8 months old. And then those ram lambs go for slaughter. This is the heartbreaking thing. I just can't get around to taking them to market.
I'm definitely going to cry now. I'm definitely gone. There's no doubt about it at all. I'd be exactly the same, I must admit. What about sheep? I mean, are they affectionate at all? I mean, 300. I guess you can't get to know each one of them individually, but I mean,
sheep are quite. They seem to be quite silly animals, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And they seem to get when you say, oh look, there's a flock of sheep. They gather together because they seem to be quite silly, and they kind of crowd together for protection. So the only protection they've got. And I don't know where I'm up to, Pete.
Do you go around with a dog? Do you have a sheepdog?
I have a sheepdog, but the sheepdog turned out to be a real pet dog, and doesn't work the sheep. She's a Welsh collie. She won't work the sheep. So I usually get the sheep together. I'd go out on a motorbike or something.
But I would have thought it'd be better to be on the horse to do that, because you ride as well, don't you?
I ride, but not very good, Pete. You know.
No.
No, not too good.
You've got 5 horses.
5 horses, and only 2 that I can saddle.
What are the other 3 for?
Well, they're for breeding.
Oh, I see. Oh, you're into that as well, eh?
Into that as well, yeah.
I don't know how you get time to make records. It's unbelievable. And you made a record quite recently, didn't you? Which has just been released.
That's Pete. I bumped into Stuart Coleman, who's a record producer, and we sort of gelled together. We were talking about music, and when it all came about that we went in and did a session, and we came up with a few tracks, and I said, this is the first one of them.
And this is the one that's the A-side?
Yeah, this is what they call the A-side now.
And it's called Love
or Money.
From Billy Fury, a song called Love or Money. How long is it since you'd recorded, Bill?
Well, I did a recording last September, which I didn't really want to do, to tell you the truth. I was, at that time, I was spending a lot of time in Wales. And a great friend of mine, Tony Reid, telephoned me, well, he'd been phoning me for years, really, and saying, would I come and make another recording? And I kept saying no. So eventually, he actually got the track together with all the musicians and did everything on the track except for a vocal. So I couldn't turn him down, you see. He spent about $4 or $5 grand on this thing. So he phoned me and said, Billy, will you put your voice on this track? So I kind of had to do it, you know, so I did it. And I went out through Polydor. But unfortunately, it was a really bad record, and it was in the wrong key as well.
Apart from that,
I
it was
didn't
perfect.
pick the key, you see. He picked the key.
But this one you're happy with? This is a...
I'm quite happy with it, Pete. After all, I'm only the singer, really. I mean, the harp is great on there. I think the musicians are great. I think the production is great. And I just can't talk about myself, really, in that way, in this capacity.
Do you enjoy working, singing now, or would you really
Yes.
rather be on the farm?
I love singing, and I love music, and I also love writing. And even when I'm on the farm in the evenings, or when the sun goes down, I usually get the guitar out and start writing songs, because I just love to be making sounds.
Did you in fact write this song?
No, I didn't write the song. This is a cover job of an old favourite of mine back in about, I think, 58.
Who did that originally?
It was a B-side, and I can't remember the guy's name at the moment.
It wasn't Eddie Cochran, was it?
No, it wasn't.
No.
No, it definitely wasn't.
But do you enjoy... I mean, when you're away in Wales, I mean, do you feel, right, I've got to go out, I must go out and perform and get in front of an audience? Do you like the idea of that?
I would like to go out and perform again, but I don't think it's really possible at the moment, mainly because of health reasons and the travelling. And
You've had a lot of trouble
Getting
with your
around.
health, haven't you? I must say you're looking very brown and everything, and tanned and everything, but you've been dogged by illness, haven't you?
Sure, I've had heart trouble over and over again.
Because you had rheumatoid...
Had rheumatic fever,
Rheumatic fever,
as
yeah.
a child. You know, that's why I said I missed a lot of schooling. It was through illness, and when I got back to school, all the kids were strangers and I was the outsider. So I used to stay off school and take a bus ride out to the countryside.
Oh, that's when you got all the eggs out.
Yeah.
Then decided you weren't going to take any more eggs because you were taking a life.
Right. Now, as I say, I would love to perform again, but I don't think it's possible.
Will it be, or is it just a question of the present time?
At the present time, it's not possible.
Mm. But in the future, it's quite possible, isn't it?
I don't really know, Pete, you know. I would like to think it would be possible, but at this time in the morning, I really don't know.
Do you, I mean, you know, the old days,
Mm-hmm.
do you miss the old days at all?
Not at all. I'm looking forward to all the time to the new days. The only thing I miss about the old days is the actual excitement of performing, the kind of release one gets, and if you like, audience applause, warm applause. It is very, very nice.
But you were a great sex image too, weren't you?
Sure, that was my act, I guess, and that's one of the other sides of me.
Hmm. You can't all be an act. I mean, you obviously were quite sexy.
I'd like
probably
to
still are.
think so. Oh, yeah.
No, but I mean, in your performing, certainly you were. It was.
So people tell me, Pete.
Yeah.
Bit disgusting sometimes, they say.
A bit of an actor, really, because that's really what
Sure,
it's
it
about.
was. Sure, it was an act, and if one was going out to perform, you have to try and be as exciting as you could. Anyway, the more exciting you were, the less notice they take of the actual voice. And I was always putting my voice down. Always putting myself down in the old days.
I think you still put yourself down a bit too, don't you?
I hope not. I used to. I'm trying to get over it.
I think it's an endearing quality, and I think it's. I think what you said, that when you were talking about the record, that it wasn't for you to criticise yourself, or you couldn't say anything about yourself. You could only talk about the harpist and the backing group.
Sure,
Being outstanding.
sure. I can think about the band, but if I'm listening to someone else's performance, I can easily enjoy it and appreciate it.
What do you think of the present day music scene, Bill?
I think it's pretty terrific, actually, Peter. Really. I reckon it's pretty wide open. There's all different kinds of music happening. The scope is very wide, and there's some really nice, catchy stuff about.
What about the hit parade? Is anything in the hit parade that's taken your fancy recently, or?
Sure, I like Come On Eileen, even Da Da Da. Everyone says the simplicity of it is sickening. But there again, I think that the simplicity is the most wonderful thing about it.
I suppose, being in Liverpool, you saw or you wouldn't have been in Liverpool when the Beatles saw
No,
that scene.
I was.
You'd gone by then.
I was out before then. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know them at all, ever?
I used to go to school with Ringo, the drummer, and just for a short time. But I met them later on. I know Paul. I lived near to Paul in London. No, I didn't really know them though.
But the Liverpool scene came after you. You were the first of the Liverpool scene, really, weren't you? I suppose.
Yeah, I guess so. I think Frankie Vaughan was the first one.
Yes.
The very, very first. And
I can never work out whether he comes from Liverpool or Leeds. You know, it's all very difficult to tell with Frankie.
yeah. You got me there, Peter.
Yes, I know he spent quite a bit of time in Leeds, but I think you're right, he was born in Liverpool. And so was the great Arthur Askey, of course, and all the great comedians.
Yeah, some great comedians.
Yeah.
Those
Jimmy
guys
Talbot.
Pardon?
Jimmy Talbot.
Jimmy Talbot. In fact, I started the very same night as Jimmy Talbot because a rock and roll show came to Liverpool. And I'd been writing some songs on guitar, and I wasn't a very good guitarist, and I couldn't play the songs that were about them. Like, I think there's Guy Mitchell and people like that, and I just couldn't play the chords to their songs. So I used to write my own songs around a few chords I knew, and I got quite a stack of songs together. And the big fella came to Liverpool, that's Marty Wilde, 6'4".
Oh, yeah.
Topping the rock and roll show. And he was terrific, you know. At that time, I thought he was the very best British rock and roller. I think I still do. And I went along to see him. And this gang of teddy boys I was with said, come on, Billy, round the stage door and talk to Marty and sell some of your songs. This was my dream, you see. So we went round to the stage door, and strangely enough, it was pretty quiet round there, and we got in through the door, and along the passage we went. And I bumped into Marty Wilde, and I was really, really nervous. He said, well, what are you guys doing here? And I said, Marty, I've written you some songs. So he said, come in the dressing room and play them through for me. So went in the dressing room, played these songs through to Marty, and Marty said he liked them, and called his manager along, who was Larry Pons. And Jimmy Tarbuck was doing a compares job, his very first compares job. And Larry Pons said to me, if I tell you you're on stage in 8 minutes, have you got the guts to go on? I didn't really have the guts to go on, but I had to find them from somewhere. So I said, yeah. So in 8 minutes I went on stage, Jimmy Tarbuck introduced me, and I carried on with the tour from there. Excuse me.
And it was Pat Larry Pons that gave you your name, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
And did he give it to Marty Wilde too? Because that's not Marty's real name is Smith, I know that.
Yeah, I think Larry gave us all the names. I think there was Tommy Steele, Marty Wilde, Billy Fury.
Vince Eager.
Did you get it?
And I saw Marty Wilde on last Monday, actually, because it was on the TV show. We had a sort of reunion of 6-5 special personalities in the 655 special.
I missed that one. I heard about it.
Yeah, we had a great time, and he, as you so rightly say, is still working very well.
Working tremendously well.
Yeah. Well, Bill, thank you very much for coming on the programme.
Oh, you're welcome, Pete.
It's been lovely to have seen you, and I wish you every success with your record, Love or Money, and indeed, keep up the good work on the farm, and
yeah, keep in the music business.
and keep in the music business, yeah.
Thanks very much, Pete.
Lovely to have seen you.
Aces. Cheers.
Keep well, my boy.
Cheers.